At Tesla's recent AI Day event, Elon Musk and the Artificial Intelligence and Autopilot team unveiled a series of breakthrough software advances as well as dojo hardware that will enable new and enhanced machine learning algorithms. Tesla showed an in-depth look at how they plan to tackle the full self-driving problem using a completely vertically integrated end-to-end solution. Tesla now designs the hardware for its own data center, optimizing it for machine learning applications. Their team trains AI algorithms repeatedly using the data from their fleet of over 1 million vehicles and growing. Tesla is focusing on vision only, as the company has never relied on LiDAR and has recently broken away from its dependence on radar with a vector-based vision system that can detect depth with a surprising accuracy. The company has over 1,000 in-house labelers and powerful auto-labeling software to help understand the scene originating from its 8 stitched-together camera views. Since full self-driving is mainly uncharted territory, the software tools don't already exist off the shelf. Tesla demonstrated that they must build their own tools, including debuggers and a detailed simulator that can convert a video scene into a 3-dimensional video game-like scenario. Tesla comes up with this powerful AI software at the data center level and then pushes it to its vehicle fleet through over-the-air updates. Its in-vehicle chip is also custom designed and executes the software in real time to plan routes and control the vehicle based on what the car is seeing. Tesla can then send any user interventions and other data back to its servers to repeat this process and rapidly improve the software. The latest version 9.2 of Tesla's full self-driving beta software is quite impressive, with users reporting fewer interventions and difficult scenarios that the software is able to handle. But Elon Musk has stated that the upcoming version 10.0 will be a step change improvement. At a high level, what Tesla unveiled at AI Day was a system and strategy that is allowing them to iterate much more quickly, pushing out software and getting feedback at a rapid pace to advance the system. What's important to emphasize is that while the current state of FSD and the data center hardware and algorithm results is what people focus on, what truly is critical for achieving autonomous driving is the rate at which they can improve. They still have a long march of nines ahead to make the system work with superhuman reliability. Tesla spent hundreds of millions of dollars to create and bring dojo hardware in-house as opposed to using NVIDIA graphics cards. They're building their own simulators and tools and running the software on their own vehicles. All of this gives Tesla more control to improve at their own pace rather than the pace of others. And none of this would have been possible if Tesla had stuck with its old partner, Mobileye. Mobileye is the technology that powers older Tesla Model S vehicles. The company is now owned by Intel, but parted ways with Tesla back in 2016 for various reasons. Mobileye believed that Tesla was pushing the envelope in terms of safety and thought that in this type of partnership, they needed to be there on all aspects of how the technology is being used. This hinted that Mobileye was looking for more exclusive partnerships and doesn't want OEMs working on their own solutions. This is a good strategy for becoming the dominant player in the industry by forcing everyone onto the Mobileye platform and thus limiting their ability to invest in competing solutions. At the time, however, Tesla had begun going its own route anyways by hiring a small team of engineers to develop its own computer vision solution. Elon Musk is quoted saying that Mobileye's ability to evolve its technology is unfortunately negatively affected by having to support hundreds of models from legacy auto companies, resulting in a very high engineering drag coefficient. In short, Elon made the case that Mobileye was slowing them down, and in the end, the goals of the two companies didn't align and they parted ways. But this brings us to today, 5 years after these events, where Tesla is now a full-on competitor flexing its AI capabilities, while Mobileye does in fact supply 25 other industry OEMs. However, the strategies of the two companies have diverged. Tesla believes that artificial intelligence is the only way to solve for autonomous driving and has gone all out on AI, whereas Mobileye is taking a map-based approach. Actually, artificial intelligence isn't even one of their pillars that they focus on. In a recent talk from earlier this year at CES 2021, Mobileye Now CEO Amnon Shashua said that interpreting the roadway is not realistic for the current state of AI, and that's their motivation behind the decision to invest heavily in HD or high-definition maps. Mobileye is primarily a mapping company. Their business model is providing ADAS, or Advanced Driver Assistance System capabilities, think automatic braking for instance, to OEMs, and they aspire to do automated driving. This is different from autonomous driving. Automated is more like a factory robot or even a shuttle. It follows a specific predetermined route. However, that's not exactly the use case that people are looking for in a robotaxi future, where they will likely expect a vehicle that can take them anywhere and handle any situation. Mobileye relies on roadways to be pre-mapped in order to have a perfect view of the road. However, an automated system, by definition, isn't designed to adapt to adverse changes. Autonomous driving, on the other hand, aims to be an artificial intelligence-based vision system that can handle scenarios it has never seen before, similar to a human driver driving on an unfamiliar road for the first time. Mobileye also states on their website that they have a camera-based system as a backbone, but rely on radar and LiDAR for redundancy. In my Tesla Vision video, I showed that these two sensors fundamentally lack the data to make them truly redundant, as Mobileye claims. For example, neither radar nor LiDAR can sense external light and can only see shapes of objects, meaning they cannot read any street signs or see any colors, which puts a hole in the true redundancy narrative. Now, Mobileye sometimes throws around the AI buzzword in their presentations, even after dismissing it, saying it's not sufficient. It almost seems like Tesla is starting with AI and is feeding in mapping data into the neural nets afterwards, whereas Mobileye is starting with the maps and then trying to bolt on an AI. While this may seem like a subtle difference, the AI-only attitude has led Tesla to invest heavily in machine learning early on, whereas Mobileye's assertion that AI is not sufficient to solve this problem has put them on a different path to mapping technology, and they are now behind in AI. High-definition maps, or HD maps, are great, but they have a few major flaws when applied to self-driving. Mobileye uses their large fleet of third-party vehicles containing Mobileye chips to try and map all the roads in the world. As a vehicle drives around, it samples the roads and sends the data back to Mobileye. Mobileye combines this data with other vehicle data to create what it believes is a map of what the road actually looks like, with stop signs and curbs and lane lines, all of the features of the road. Tesla showed during AI Day that they actually do the same thing in order to reconstruct a road. The difference is that Tesla uses this data to train their AI models with new scenarios. Tesla's algorithm learns from it, it doesn't rely on it. The result is embedded deep within its neural nets, whereas alternatively, Mobileye creates a global map and needs to send it back to all of the vehicles in the fleet in real time, since they rely on a perfect map in order to understand the scenery. In Tesla's case, it would be similar to me showing you how to navigate a roundabout multiple times with various examples of roundabouts until you understand how it's done, versus Mobileye, which needs to know the look and feel and shape of every single roundabout in the world. The method of sending mapping data to every car in the fleet is also a short-term solution that doesn't actually solve self-driving. The first problem is that according to Mobileye, they estimate that 10% of roads change every year on a global scale. That could mean new lane lines, new roads, road closures, and other types of construction creating new paths. Because of this, the roads need to be mapped constantly. It takes at least a day for Mobileye to map a large area, meaning that any cars that have an outdated map will have a problem traversing this road. Additionally, every vehicle must have a constant internet connection in order to receive the latest updated data in real time. This means that not only do the first few hundred cars on the road not know how to navigate it correctly, but any vehicle out of cellular network coverage will also have outdated maps. The system appears to be scalable, but because of the delays in getting mapping data to the vehicles that need them on time, it's not fully scalable. In contrast, Tesla's system runs completely locally on the in-vehicle chip and doesn't require any real-time mapping data. In the future, a solid version of Tesla's FSD will be able to adapt to changing roads since it handles each road as if it's seeing it for the first time. The reason why Tesla can do this is because their system, their back-end neural networks, are based on probabilities. If Tesla supplements its vision data with a map, it increases its certainty. Similar to how humans can drive on a familiar road with high confidence. On an unfamiliar road, confidence is lower for both a human and for Tesla's system, but it should still be able to handle it with vision only. Now, a problem that's a little less obvious is that Mobileye's data is crowdsourced by Mobileye's fleet of human drivers. Mobileye prides itself in having a large fleet, but the human drivers are a critical piece since they constantly drive around not only collecting map data, but also the data showing the path that they took to navigate the road. If 300 people take the same path, Mobileye can be fairly confident that this path is safe and correct. However, in order for the system to continue to function, this human fleet can never be replaced since Mobileye's system doesn't learn. It simply aggregates the constant stream of data given to it by the humans. If all or even most of the vehicles eventually turn into robotaxis and 10% of the roads change that year, there are no vehicles capable of telling Mobileye how to navigate those 10% of roads. All the robotaxis depend on human drivers. That's why this solution may seem like Mobileye's automated driving is ahead of Tesla's autonomous strategy, but it only works in the short term. Ultimately, artificial intelligence is the truly scalable solution. And by the way, stop using Yahoo Finance, stop using Google Finance, and check out our website, themarketisopen.com, where we have instant stock quotes and financial data going back 10 years, and it's all freely available. Now, according to George Hotz, who runs Comma AI, Tesla is bug constrained, meaning that rather than needing more data or more money, they need more people to solve bugs and add new features in their system, which is why they're actively recruiting for top talent, the entire premise of AI Day. Tesla's strategy is to push new features to their fleet in shadow mode, which means the software runs in the background and doesn't affect the vehicle's driving. They can do testing based on what the system would have done and what the user actually did. When they're more confident with the feature, they can deploy it through an over-the-air software update, the same way you would update an app on your phone. In this sense, Tesla therefore has millions of testers who are closely monitoring the system and correcting its behavior in order to teach it to do better. And these are real users providing feedback. Each intervention is sent back to Tesla's servers for training or analysis. During AI Day, Tesla stated that they can use their simulator to produce more adverse scenarios or scenarios that are rare in order to bolster their system with more training data. In contrast, when Mobileye does testing, for example recently in New York, they drive 1 or 2 cars around for testing purposes and it takes weeks to test. This isn't a robust way of testing at all, and as Elon Musk stated 5 years ago, it has a high engineering drag coefficient validated by the fact that it took Mobileye 6 weeks to do a small-scale test. And since Mobileye is running on over 300 different car models made by various automakers, this raises some questions on how they can account for testing in different vehicles. Tesla only needs to worry about models S, 3, X, and Y, and there can be very subtle differences with how cameras are positioned or calibrated, the height of the vehicle, or countless other variations between makes and models of third-party vehicles. Mobileye is not vertically integrated since they don't make their own cars and thus rely on others. This highly fragmented approach means that Mobileye must manage an increasing number of hardware and software makes, models, configurations, and versions. This slows them right down, which will make it very difficult for them to compete against Tesla. Tesla can move quickly since they own every aspect of the system. They can put the latest hardware in their latest vehicles right away with the latest software, and don't have a 3-year lead time like the OEMs do. As an example, Mobileye announced their IQ4 chip back in 2016. It was released in 2018. Now, the 2021 Ford Mach-E is finally rolling out using this almost 4-year-old chip. Mobileye's next generation IQ5 has been ready for a year now, but it isn't actually deployed on most of the vehicle fleet. Thus, all of their new software features from 2020 are still not even being used, even on brand new vehicles being produced today. this will likely end up being a disappointment for consumers and a huge challenge for Mobileye to have to wait potentially years before they can test new features with a real fleet of users. Ford is another prime example. They advertise hands-free highway driving, which is interesting because Tesla requires drivers to keep their hands on the wheel at all times. Even then, there were complaints about people not paying attention enough, and Tesla added driver monitoring. Now Ford is entering the battle zone head first because during a drive with Sandy Munro in a Ford Mustang Mach-E, which is powered by Mobileye, the system alerted Sandy to quickly grab the steering wheel when the road started to curve. This was during the hands-free driving mode on a fully pre-mapped highway, and they have trouble handling a slight curve. These Mobileye systems may in fact not be fully tested and ready for the real world, and since they only sell through OEMs, there's an extra layer in between them and the consumer, which could be Mobileye's original nightmare of needing to closely monitor how the technology is being used, but on hundreds of models of vehicles across multiple generations of hardware and software changes. See, on Mobileye's website and social media, they've been very careful with the message or the perception that they're presenting to customers. Mobileye has uploaded a handful of what they call unedited self-driving videos. Their most recent unedited video of self-driving in New York, which in a Bloomberg interview with Mobileye said it was the toughest location in the world. If you can drive in New York, you can drive anywhere. The video has 0 driver interventions. In fact, all of Mobileye's uploaded videos are unedited with 0 interventions. This gives consumers a false perception of their software and should raise some red flags. Where's the progress? Mobileye has never made a mistake. Why not ship the final product then if it's ready? Well, in fact, it's not ready. It's far from ready. They could have driven the same route 1,000,000 times until one worked out great in order to get their unedited video. So far, we've seen only flawless videos. With Tesla, there are thousands of videos online, many of them with Tesla making tons of mistakes, some of them driving quite well, but it's clear that I can see the flaws and I can see the progress. With Mobileye, I don't know where the flaws are. It's almost like they're hiding something. The entire thing is a black box. They won't put out a video where they make a mistake, which can't possibly be real. In the same interview with BNN Bloomberg, the interviewer asks if the safety driver in the car needed to step in, and Amnon Shashua, the CEO of Mobileye, said, "Of course the safety driver needs to step in. We can't claim that we have a perfect driving experience in New York City." And so I think this will be a huge negative for Mobileye and their OEM partners going forward. There are very few videos online of Mobileye's self-driving software being tested in real time. When they eventually roll it out on a larger scale to real people, if anyone actually buys these vehicles, and not testers or professionals sitting next to real people, and if the system makes a mistake, I think it's going to be a very big deal. Everyone expects Mobileye to be perfect since that's the perception that they're giving off. But when it turns out that the so-called leader in the industry is a lot worse than Tesla, I think you're going to hear about it in the media. See, Tesla's FSD makes mistakes all the time. Because we've all been watching them for the last couple years, there's videos uploaded daily. However, the number of interventions in Tesla's beta software has started to come down noticeably, and the more recent beta versions, although not at all perfect, are quite impressive. If Elon is right about version 10.0 being a step change, this could set the bar much higher, meaning other inferior solutions will start to be seen as unacceptable. Because Tesla pushed the envelope, they actually became the first mover of a self-driving solution on a large scale. Although Tesla is scrutinized a lot, the first mover does have the advantage of being able to get away with certain things because they're trying something new. People are giving them the benefit of the doubt because they know the system will get better over time, and no one's really done this before. But at the same time, Tesla is setting the benchmark for consumer autonomy, especially because they're a very visible company. If another player comes out with a solution, and it's a generation or 5 behind Tesla, it's going to be dismissed when it can't do what's now expected from consumers. And that could be another headwind in terms of vehicle sales from OEMs. We're already seeing Ford's Mach-E sales slump, which is causing a negative perception. Whereas Tesla is trying to position themselves as the world's greatest AI company, making robots, self-driving cars, etc. It doesn't make sense to buy an AI solution that's not powered by the leading AI company. Actually, one of the biggest threats to Mobileye's business is that Tesla licenses their FSD software to other OEMs. While Mobileye is working to sell basic ADAS systems to automakers, full autonomous driving isn't even one of their pillars, causing some confusion. Tesla has just accelerated the speed at which they intend to improve full self-driving. Elon Musk has all but said that it's ready, and every employee at Tesla is aiming for that goal. People criticize Elon Musk for making self-driving predictions that he fails to meet. However, it's gotten everyone on board, not just the employees, but even the fans who want Tesla to succeed. Mobileye is a mapping company that is aiming for automated driving. Scalable autonomous driving isn't even something in their mission that they're working on. They're just interested in the intermediate steps in order to sell product to large OEMs. It's actually setting the OEMs back even further because they're all stuck with Mobileye, and many of them haven't invested heavily in their own solutions. They're spreading themselves thin because they don't have a clear roadmap and they don't know what technologies are promising to invest in. Tesla has made a bold decision to pour everything they have into AI and machine learning, and that's it. After Tesla's AI Day, it's become a lot clearer that Tesla is much further ahead at reaching their goals than anyone else in the industry. And while competitors such as Mobileye may eventually reach their goals, they're simply not setting the bar at the same height as Tesla. So do you think Tesla's AI Day gave the inside look at what Tesla has been working on, which puts them firmly ahead of any other rivals? The industry certainly doesn't think that Tesla is a real contender. And let me know in the comments if you think OEMs will eventually have to license FSD technology from Tesla at a very high cost, or will Mobileye survive the Tesla onslaught, and will their solution be sufficient for an autonomous robotaxi future? Please hit the like button and subscribe, we'd super appreciate that. And a huge shout out to all of our patrons that help to support our channel. Your support helps us to continue to make great content. Thank you guys so much for watching.